We will be using hemp in every aspect of the cafe, from the structure to the food, the menus, the tabletops, the countertops, the silverware, straws, everything, uniforms, everything will be hemp, because I really want to showcase the industry as a whole and introduce a lot of my OG hempster friends that have been in this industry longer than me into this space.
That's Cindy Amick, owner of Hemp World Café, which opens its doors to the public June 7th in Mount Pleasant, Pennsylvania. This is the Lancaster Farming Industrial Hemp Podcast. Hi there, my name is Eric Herlock, and today we have quite a show for you. I'd like to say it's a departure from our normal show, but honestly, I don't know what normal is anymore around here. That said, today's show is divided into 3 parts, or acts. In Act 1, we'll talk to longtime hemp entrepreneur Cindy Amick about her latest endeavor to bring the goodness of hemp to the masses. She's opening Planet Hemp Café in the beginning of next month. In Act 2, we'll go meet some of the people who attended the Hempcrete workshop at Americhandre's headquarters in Bartow, Pennsylvania in the beginning of May, including the inventor of the E-Reezy spray-applied system, Damian Baumer himself. And we'll also hear how one attendee, general contractor Bobby Charas-Posey, plans to incorporate hempcrete into his business back home in Laguna Pueblo, New Mexico. And then finally, Act 3. This is where I prove to you, dear listener, that I just can't leave well enough alone. Remember on last week's show when Jeremy Klecki from Davis Hemp Farm said I should
go back to even, our good old Jack Hare and The Emperor Wears No Clothes, and he references that as food, fuel, fiber, and medicine.
Well, I did that, and now I'm not so sure if that's really what Jack was saying. Now I'm slightly more convinced that we are doing the word hemp and the hemp industry in general a disservice by expanding the definition of the word hemp to also mean the flower and the medicine. So I kept digging. I went back farther, deeper into the foundational texts of the modern hemp industry. And I'm not just talking about the popular Mechanics billion-dollar crop article from 1938. Oh no, I went back farther, all the way back to the 1913 USDA yearbook, and surprise, surprise, there's very little mention of hemp as a medicine. So in Act 3 today, we're going to wrestle with these ideas a little bit more. Will I dig myself deeper into a hole that I can't climb out of? Or will the foundational texts give me a rock to build my house upon? We'll find out on today's show. First, a few words from our sponsors. This week's show is brought to you by HEMI and the Goodness of Hemp campaign. HEMI stands for the Hemp Education and Marketing Initiative. HEMI's mission is to accelerate the growth of the industry through leadership and market awareness of hemp products and solutions. HEMI is fostering new business opportunities through innovation, best practices, and partnerships that benefit U.S. farmers and processors. The Goodness of Hemp campaign shares the virtues of hemp with policymakers, manufacturers, and consumers. Find out what the goodness of hemp can do for your business at hempinitiatives.org. Also, this week we have a Hemp Feed Coalition sponsor spotlight on Bish Enterprises, makers of the Fiber Cut, the leading American-made hemp harvester in the industry. Proudly built in Nebraska, for farmers, by farmers. The Fiber Cut now features a 14-foot cutting arm, nearly double the width of the competition. That means fewer passes, cleaner cuts, and a more efficient harvest. Learn more at bishenterprise.com. All right, welcome back. So before we get into the 3 acts of today's show, I do have a handful of news nuggets and a couple of calendar items for you. So first, the news. According to Forbes.com, Ukraine has just launched its largest industrial hemp processing facility. It's located in the Zhytomyr region and run by the Marazani Hemp Company. The plant will produce everything from textiles to bioplastics, proof that even in a time of war, hemp is seen as a future-facing economic driver. Researchers at the University of San Diego just published a study comparing the environmental impacts of hemp and cotton. The results? Well, surprise, hemp uses less water, less land, and produces fewer greenhouse gas emissions. But the authors note that without infrastructure and scale, that potential advantage could be lost. This is why we need capital investment in the industry. industry. And speaking of expanding processing capacity, great news out of Carrollton, Kentucky. Food Business News reports that Victory Hemp Foods has expanded a processing line at its plant in Carrollton to meet the rising demand for the company's hemp hearts and oil ingredients. The expansion enables the company to provide scalable, sustainable solutions for high-quality plant-based nutrition. Victory Hemp Foods recently expanded its ingredients portfolio, too, with the introduction of puffs, protein inclusions, protein clusters, textured hemp protein, soluble protein isolates, and refined oils. I will be talking to Victory's founder, Chad Rosen, on the show here in a few weeks, so we're going to hear more about all of this stuff. I've been to Carrollton, Kentucky, but it's been nearly 4 years, and maybe it's time for another road trip. Who's with me? All right, before you answer that, let me tell you about some events coming up in the next few months, in reverse chronological order for some reason. So, the Wilson College of Textiles at NC State, in conjunction with the National Industrial Hemp Council, is hosting the Global Industrial Hemp Fiber Summit. This 3-day event will cover innovations in industrial hemp fiber from seed to final product and standardization. Attendees can look forward to a balance of hands-on activities, physical tours, expert speakers, and engaging discussions. For more details and to register, visit globalhempfiber.textiles.ncsu.edu. That's quite a link. I'll have that on the show page for the episode. Go there and click on it. So I promise that you will hear more about this event in the coming weeks. Start making your travel arrangements now. I'll see you there. All right, June 26th through the 27th, it's the 2025 NIHH Hemp Building Workshop in Maple Park, Illinois. Hosted by KIFCure and the Northern Illinois Hemp Hub, this 2-day workshop is a deep dive into hempcrete and natural building finishes. Attendees will explore the science behind hemp lime construction, engage in hands-on sessions covering mixing, molding, and building with hempcrete, and learn about the environmental advantages of using industrial hemp in sustainable construction. The event also offers networking opportunities with key industry stakeholders. For more details and registration, visit nihh.org. This is a free event, I should add. All right, and then finally, something a little closer to home for the folks here in Pennsylvania. June 20th, it's a tour of the Buck Mason Mill in Moton, PA. Join the Pennsylvania Fiber Shed for an exclusive behind-the-scenes tour of Buck Mason's vertically integrated knitting mill in Berks County. This event offers a unique opportunity to see American-made garments come to life, from yarn to finished product, and to meet the people powering this modern heritage brand. The tour includes visits to the knitting mill and sewing factory, followed by networking with Buck Mason and the PA Fiber Shed community. Space is limited, so be sure to secure your spot today. And speaking of the PA Fiber Shed, I have been invited to PA Fiber Shed's monthly meeting to talk about hemp in Pennsylvania, its shared history with flax, and why the Keystone State is poised to be a leader in bio-based natural fibers like hemp and flax. I'll have more info on that as it gets closer, but I think the date is June 30th. Okay, you can find links to these calendar events and the news nuggets on the show page for this episode at lancasterfarming.com. All right, let's get this party started. Act 1. Back in January of this year, I was in the middle of interviewing California hemp legend Chris Boucher when he got a call during the interview from my next guest, Cindy Amick. It was such a cool moment because she's here in Pennsylvania, I'm here in Pennsylvania, and our paths did not cross until we were sort of both talking to Chris Boucher in California. He told me about her cafe and he put me in touch with her. And now, after a lot of hard work, Cindy and her husband David are just about to open the Planet Hemp Café in Mount Pleasant, which is about an hour southeast of Pittsburgh. Cindy Amick from Planet Hemp Café in Mount Pleasant, Pennsylvania. Welcome to the Lancaster Farming Industrial Hemp Podcast. How are you doing?
Oh, great, Eric. I'm in beautiful Somerset County, and it's a nice day today.
Yeah, we're lucky to live in Pennsylvania when it's May and the weather's this good. So I wondered, let's start with just give us a quick introduction. I know you've been in the hemp space for a fairly long time, and you're about to open up the Hemp Cafe, but you've done lots of things before that. So just give us a quick overview of where you've been and what you've been doing, Cindy.
Yeah, sure. I started my career in the restaurant industry in Somerset in the early 80s. And in the late 90s, I happened to be at the beach and bought a copy of Chris Conrad's book, Hemp Lifeline to the Future. And after reading that book, I said, wow, this is what I want to do the rest of my life. So in 1998, I started Hemp Sisters, and we grew to be the largest online selection of hemp products. Probably, I know in the US, we sold over 500 individual hemp and other natural fiber products. I opened a physical store in Somerset, and then I designed the hemp hut, which was a 10 by 20 hut that I took to different events like at Seven Springs and various places like that, just to educate people and to show them what hemp was about. So that's pretty much my start in the hemp industry.
That's awesome. Tell me a little bit more about the hemp hut. What kind of hemp? What was it made from?
Well, it was a 10 by 20 structure that looked like a hut. So we had a thatched roof and bamboo poles, and it was set up like a store. So you could walk in, and we had shelving units, and I sold, like everybody's hemp products at the time because I wanted to really showcase the industry. And so I sold hemp clothing, shoes, shampoos, soaps, everything like that in this store.
Okay. So the hut itself wasn't made from hemp. I guess in my mind, I'm like, oh, it was hempcrete. But no, it was a hut that had hemp stuff inside of it. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, cool. All right. So, this is great. You've been this is like your life's work, and you must be super excited about Planet Hemp Café. Could you tell us a bit about what this is?
Yeah. So in 2014, I actually moved to Richmond and I launched Hemp Dog Cafe. That was my introduction into the hemp food space, and I started to develop a hemp menu. And we almost made it on the restaurant startup show, in fact. So, after COVID kind of shut everything down, I moved back to Somerset, Pennsylvania, where I started in the hemp industry, and started to focus on developing more hemp food. So over the course of the past 2 years, I've developed everything from edestin protein, from meats to cheeses, sauces, dressings, breads, everything like that. So now everything in my menu is hemp-centric and edestin protein-centric.
That's amazing. Can you say that word again, edestin protein? That's not a phrase I'm familiar with. Tell me a little bit more about that, please.
Well, yes. In fact, I had taken a course at Cornell University on plant-based nutrition after using nutrition to reverse lupus. And I had used hemp in my disease reversal. And so I wanted to learn the science behind using nutrition and hemp specifically in disease reversal. So I took this course at Cornell University. And in my research, I found that edestin protein is actually the protein that comes from the hemp hearts. It's the heart of the hemp seed. And it is the highest form of protein on the planet because albumin protein is the protein standard of the world. And the whole premise of the disease reversal was cellular repair. And what I learned about edestin protein that comes from hemp is it actually repairs DNA cells. That was so amazing, this discovery about edestin protein, that is when I decided to create the meats and cheeses and everything that was based on this particular protein, because in my research, I also found that animal protein actually destroys your cells. And I said, wow, this is an amazing discovery. And once I found the article on the Czechoslovakian scientists who are using edestin protein to make blood plasma, I thought, wow, they are now basically proving my point that edestin protein is the protein meant for humans, and that this food will definitely make people healthy. And I became really excited to get this menu out to the public.
So I see that you have a hemp burger. Tell me about the hemp burger because it's almost lunchtime and I'd like to eat. I'm
Okay,
hungry.
well, you will love the hemp burger. It is actually very high in protein and very flavorful. It really looks like what people are used to eating. And I have partnered with the gluten-free oven in Mount Pleasant, and they make all of my breads. So this burger is served on a gluten-free, egg-free, dairy-free bun, and I have made hemp cheese and hemp ketchup and mayo, and it's served with organic lettuce and fresh tomato and microgreens. I also include a lot of microgreens in my menu, so it's a very, very healthy menu item, and I'm really looking forward to the world trying this burger.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like once this cafe opens, it's going to be like the new stop on the hemp tour, right? Like you're going to get just people, making the pilgrimage to the Planet Hemp Café. So I think that's awesome. Can you tell me what the cafe looks like? Are you sort of using hemp things in there, hempcrete or any hemp wood, or just walk us through what it looks like as a guest coming into the cafe, what will my experience be like sort of visually, sensually? Tell me more about it, Cindy.
Well, the phase one is our bakery partner at the Gluten Free Oven. They have a space in the front of their bakery where I will be introducing the menu to the world while we plan to build out our first real cafe. And will be a franchise model. So we have actually found a property in Hempfield Township. So how appropriate is that? Where we hope to build out the first franchise model, and we will be using hemp in every aspect of the cafe, from the structure to the food, the menus, the tabletops, the countertops, the silverware, straws, everything, uniforms, everything will be hemp, because I really want to showcase the industry as a whole and introduce a lot of my OG hempster friends that have been in this industry longer than me into this space.
That's awesome. So when you say Hempfield Township, what county are you in there? Because we've got one here in Lancaster County, and I don't know if you mean that one, but I'd be psyched if you did.
Well, actually, interestingly enough, people from the original Lancaster County over on your end of the state had migrated over to Westmoreland County, which is, about an hour east of Pittsburgh. And they settled there, and they named that part Hempfield Township. And I'm not really sure if they grew hemp at that point, which I believe they did, but that's how it got its name.
So it's named after Lancaster County. All right.
Yes, yes. And, Pennsylvania has such a history of hemp. It's exciting to bring hemp back to Pennsylvania in this emerging industry, worldwide.
Yeah. Are you connected at all with Victory Hemp down there in, Carrollton, Kentucky?
No, I'm not connected with them, but I do have other American sources for my hemp that I use in my food. So I'm very excited that I believe that this franchise model will take off relatively fast, and I hope to see them, all over the country in the next 5 years, and then we can have an opportunity to utilize as much American grown hemp food as we can in our concept.
I love it. I love it. So if people are interested in investing or in becoming a franchisee, is that the right word? Can they reach out to you? Is there a best place to contact you?
Sure. You can find the information on planethempcafe.com. And my email address is theplanethempcafe@gmail.com. So you can reach out to me there as well. And I really look forward to people wanting this franchise because I think that when people come into this space, and I think they're just going to be so amazed at all the things hemp offers, not just health-wise, but, hemp heals the body, the economy, and the environment. And so we know that once it really takes off in our country, it's going to create a lot of farming jobs and manufacturing jobs, and it really can bolster our economy. And I really believe it is what this country needs at this particular time in history.
Amen to that. Cindy Amick, it is so great to talk to you. I hope you have an amazing opening on June 7th. I wish I could be there, but I'm going to try to get out there this summer and have one of those burgers. Thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you so much, Eric.
Act 2. A couple of weeks ago, I took a drive up to Cameron McIntosh's shop in Bartow, Pennsylvania, where his company, Americhon Cast Hemp, was conducting a hempcrete workshop. These workshops are great because people come from all over the country to learn from the best in the business. And I didn't get a chance to talk to everyone. Some people left early, but I talked to the people who were still there late in the day, Friday, May 9th. All right, I'm here at the Hempcrete workshop. I'm going to walk up to the group of people who just completed the workshop. All right, hello. We'll start with you. Can you tell me your name?
Hi, I'm Jordan Geska.
And where are you from, Jordan?
I'm originally from White House Station, New Jersey.
All right, and what brought you out here today?
To learn more about hempcrete and get a chance to shoot it into a panel.
All right. You going to buy an e-Reezy?
Hopefully, eventually in my lifetime.
There you go. All right, we'll go down the line here. Can you tell me your name?
Hi, I'm Lindsay Beck,
Where are you from, Lindsay?
Minnesota.
Where in Minnesota? It's a big state.
Yes, Chanhassen, Minnesota.
I have no idea where that is.
It's a suburb of the cities.
Okay, the Twin Cities.
Yes, the Twin Cities.
All right, and what was the biggest thing you learned here at the workshop so far?
Just the technique of spraying and the mixture.
How was it learning with the master?
Oh, you see why he's the professional and we're learning.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Again.
Yeah. Bonjour.
Bonjour.
I forgot to ask Damien to introduce himself, but you can tell it's him because he's the only man there with a super thick French accent. He is the inventor of the e-Reezy spray-applied hempcrete system. Oui, oui.
Comment vas-tu?
Tell me something.
I tell you, I'm happy to be here, in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
In Pennsylvania, because Philadelphia is a big city, but Arlington is very nice too. Yeah.
When did you invent this machine for the e-Reezy?
In 2014.
All right. And was there just one day you thought of it?
For invented the machine?
Yeah.
Well, I think in France we need this system because we have many retrofit houses. And it's essential to spray hempcrete on the stone walls for respect the vernacular monument. Yeah. Yep. And for America, it's good too because there is a lot of frame and wood, and it's not the same system that we have in France. It's better for America, I think.
Yeah, I think so too. So Thank you for inventing it.
Oh, thank you to you.
All right. Chris, hello. Introduce yourself for us.
Hi, I'm Chris Gala. I'm a project manager for Americhon.
All right. And you've been working with Cameron now for almost a year. We're getting there.
Yeah, last August.
All right. Well, how was this workshop? You've been at a few of these now, right?
This is actually my first workshop. And I was trained to be a spray technician as well.
Oh, congratulations.
Well, tomorrow will be the final day of it, but day 3.
Will he award you like a certificate?
I don't know. I think so,
Like the Wizard of Oz?
Yep, and then he's probably going to put me to work, I'm sure.
Yeah, good. And this is your wife? Hello.
My wife, Amy.
Hello.
Hello, Amy. All right, and then we'll talk to Matt Marino here. No, he won't. He's cleaning his pocket. Oh, no. Bonjour.
Bonjour.
And could you introduce yourself to me? Tell me who you are. Your name.
My name is Céline.
Hello, Celine.
Hello.
And you are his wife, Damien's wife.
Yes.
And you are from France.
Yes,
Yeah,
Malblanc.
Welcome.
Thank you.
I wish I spoke French.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't.
Maybe one day.
Maybe one day.
Peut-être.
Yeah, I don't know. All right, well, Thank you.
Thank you.
Now we'll try Matt Marino. This is a comedy show. I don't know if you know that. It's a
I've
comedy
heard in my
show.
pocket, but that's okay.
Yes.
No, I'm good. I'm good.
All right. Well, tell us about it.
What's that?
Got lint in your pocket.
It's inevitable. Hemp gets everywhere, so I'm just cleaning out my pockets with hempcrete. No.
This is Matt Marino from Homeland Hempcrete, by the way. So you're here from North Dakota. Tell me about the drive. Did you drive here?
I flew. No, I flew.
That's smart.
But, yeah. It saves time, but no, happy to be back. I think my first one was back in 2022. It's when Cam and I started collaborating on the panels, and been doing it every year since. So happy to come back, help build the panels, and see the newest talent here getting certified to run the E-Reezy.
Pretty exciting to see
absolutely.
all the people excited about it.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, Matt. Thank you. Thanks, everybody. One guy who had to leave early that day was Bobby Charis Posey from Laguna Pueblo in New Mexico. Luckily, I caught up with him earlier in the day.
My name is Bobby Charis Posey. I'm from the Laguna Pueblo in New Mexico.
All right. Well, tell me, I guess, what brought you here and what you hope to bring back to New Mexico.
Originally, I own a construction company, and I do a lot of renovations of old traditional homes, adobe, out in the reservations around New Mexico. I'm a contractor for the Department of Labor. I do ADA compliance, for handicapped personnel and stuff like that. So what brought me here is we started a company recently, and we saw Cameron's his spray machine, and I wanted to see firsthand. I had met him in Estes Park, Colorado, and he told us a lot about it. So he invited me up for his training. So I came up for his training, and it just blew me out of the water. It was just something that, why the heck isn't this talked about more? Why doesn't the industry know about this? Yeah. One of those revolutionary things that it's just, it needs to be exposed.
Right. Cool. So tell me how, like, the hempcrete system, like, would fit into the Adobe system. Like, I guess your gears are turning. Like, how can you use them both together back home?
Back home in New Mexico, we have a lot of, what happens is they build they build Adobe homes, the mixture of the exterior. Sometimes they're great, it'll last 20, 25 years and it'll fall apart. The studies that I've done with hempcrete and what I've done so far is that, it lasts a lot longer. One of the benefits that where we live is rodents. I like the fact that, it deters rodents and insects like that. We're living in fields, living in the desert. We get a lot of mice, you get a lot of field mice and crickets and stuff like that. And I think this would be beneficial to push. And I think just the whole concept of, and I don't want to say easy. I just want to say an advancement of the way it's sprayed is a big game changer, as opposed to mixing by hand the way we do in the South with adobe and clay and straw bales and stuff like that. So I think this would be a real game changer for us down in the South.
I just thought of a tagline for the E-Reezy. Don't say easy, say E-Reezy.
There you go. Right. There you go. Yeah.
We'll trademark that and sell it to something. You got to work one-on-one with Damien, who sort of invented this system.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about that.
It was one of those things when, there's a language barrier, but, physical labor and construction is a, universal language. So it wasn't hard to see his vision and what he's doing and communicate with him. And number one, it's an honor to work with somebody of that magnitude, somebody coming from a small town like me and not knowing who these people really are. And you work with them, and then, you're talking in the groups and they're like, yeah, this guy's an inventor thing. He's from France. And you're just like, oh my gosh, a very down to earth guy. And it was very, it was a privilege to work with him. One of those things that I'll always take with me.
Excellent. So you just met Cameron in Estes Park this year at NOCO?
Yes, I did. Okay. I did. We met through a mutual friend, one of my good buddies, awesome dude. His name is Ira Vanderveer. You're going to have to check him out. He does a lot of awesome stuff. But we met through him, and like I said, two and two come together, conversations are made, and, ideas are brought with awesome people, and that's what I'm doing up here.
Right. So what was it for you that first brought you to hemp in the first place? Like, was there a moment where you're like, oh, hemp, I should check that out?
I'll be honest with you. I've done construction just the way we've done it for the last 20 years. And I was always biased about that. You hear hemp, the first thing I thought was, that's a weed house. And I think the thing that surprised me the most is when I went to Estes Park, a lot of the bigwigs that were giving the speeches and stuff, they want to say, well, first thing I want you to know is we're not drug dealers, we're hemp farmers. And so for me, it was kind of like, well, what does that mean? So I did a little bit more research, looking into videos, and I found out that it's two different industries. And, I can see where hemp gets a bad name because I was totally biased. You see the leaves and stuff, and right away for me, I was like, "That's But as soon as I started doing this training with Cam, and I started doing a little bit more in depth, it's not even at all what it is. And from somebody who's been in the industry over 25 years, like I said, this is a game changer. This is something that I don't understand why the government. I know not all forms of government, but pieces and sections of the government that are against this. I don't understand why only the private sector is involved in this right now.
Well, you know about Cameron's grant, the SBIR grant with the U.S. Army?
Yes, and that was just, that was something that was very, right. When you hear something,
somebody's paying attention.
Exactly, somebody's paying attention, and I think Cam is on the good trail to make this thing explode, and reaching out like this and his outreach to people like me and going and getting, is a great deal because I'm learning the battle that they're fighting. I'm learning that battle that they're fighting in the industry. And it's to be honest, people, if you're out there listening, it's not even what the hemp industry, what you think it is, if you're not on this side of it, if you're not learning from it. Do your studies, do your reviews before you judge and like that. Like I did, I was guilty of it, but once I, caught on board, now I'm actually doing training to spray hempcrete. Yeah, and it's amazing. Awesome. Yeah. So.
Yeah, I mean, most people, I think, don't realize how sort of far along the industry side of hemp is.
Correct. And that was another thing. Like when I went to the expo, I was like, you just meeting these amazing people from here and there, the industry. They even have an industry where, they have these amazing machines that are helping them industrialize the hemp program. And it's just amazing that what the direction they're going. Yeah. It's great. It's great.
Cool. So I guess you're maybe going to buy one of these machines, take it home with you?
I believe we're pretty interested in investing in one, kind of come up with some concept to integrate it to the Southwest because regional things, you guys built completely different from us, pandeling and, limestone like that. Where we're from, we do sandstone and adobe homes. We don't go very high as you guys and stuff like that. So it's going to be one of those things where we're trying to put a square tube and a round hole kind of thing for now, but we'll get it. Yeah. We'll get it.
I think you're going to find you've got sort of a community there already in the Southwest. A lot of hemp people that maybe you'll start to find once you. I don't know.
One thing I'm learning now from the hemp community is that they're great people. Everybody's so amazing, and there's no obstacles between each other. So everybody that I've met involved in hemp, they're all looking to expand it. So they're all very positive. They want to make those connections. They want to have those things.
They want you to succeed too.
Exactly. Yeah. There's no, he might take my, no. Exactly. Yeah, perfect way to put it. We're all going to win at this if we can all get on the same train here. So.
Right on. Well, Bobby, it's nice to meet you. Thank you for telling me all about this.
No problem. All right. Pleasure to meet you, buddy. I appreciate your time.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Act 3. All right, here we go. Moving on to the third and final act of today's show. So, you just heard Bobby say something just now about how he only recently discovered that the hemp industry was really two separate industries. His confusion is understandable in the current climate around hemp in America, where hemp now means fiber hemp, grain hemp, CBD hemp, floral hemp, hemp beverages, intoxicating hemp, hemp-derived cannabinoids, and on and on and on. And if you've been listening to the show lately, you know that I'm wrestling with this idea that maybe everything we call hemp shouldn't be called hemp. And last week, I sought guidance from Jeremy Kletke from Davis Hemp Farm. And Jeremy told me to go back to Jack Herer. If I'm confused about what hemp is or what it isn't, he said I should return to The Emperor Wears No Clothes, the foundational text, the book that started it all. And yeah, so I did. I respect Jeremy. I trust him. He's been working with this plant longer than most people I know. And Jack's book, it's iconic. It helped launch the modern cannabis legalization movement, no question. But the deeper I went back into The Emperor, the more I realized something that I don't think even Jack anticipated. The word hemp, as it has been used historically, agriculturally, and culturally, has never meant flower. It's never meant medicine. It has never meant cannabinoids or resin. Hemp has always meant fiber and grain. Let me say that again. Hemp has always meant hemp, at least in the English language. The word is 1,000 years old at least, and its meaning hasn't changed in that whole time until the 2018 Farm Bill. Even in Jack's book, when he lists what Jeremy mentioned, food, fuel, fiber, and medicine, you can see the distinction. The food, the fuel, the fiber, that's industrial hemp. That's hemp. The straw, the fiber, the herds, the seeds. That's what we're growing out in the field. That's what we're making stuff with. But the medicine? Yes, there's definitely powerful medicine in the flower. Genetically, it's all cannabis sativa L, sure, but over thousands of years, humans have bred this plant in radically different directions. One for long, straight stalks and nutritious seeds, one for dense, resin-coated flowers, different purposes, different chemotypes, different functions. Jack included medicine because he wanted to legalize the whole plant, and I get that. It was all illegal back in the day. There was no farm bill, no hemp industry, no fiber market, no grain growers, just a single criminalized genus called cannabis. And I really think he was using the wholesome history of hemp to sort of soften his argument that marijuana should be legalized. But things are different now. Today, we have a fiber industry, a grain sector, a building materials movement. We have hempcrete walls, hemp seed protein, hemp insulation, hemp textiles. We have farmers growing fiber and grain. We have infrastructure emerging slowly, painfully, but it's happening. Hemp is legal in all 50 states. Marijuana is catching up. High THC cannabis is catching up. We now have a patchwork of state laws. 39 states have some form of legal THC cannabis, whether it's medical, recreational, or both. But it's important to remember that THC cannabis remains illegal at the federal level, creating a complex legal landscape. And it also creates, an appeal of the word hemp. Like, oh, we can work with cannabis if we call it hemp. So the times are very different now than they were when Jack was the emperor of hemp. We now have a lot of what Jack was fighting for, but what we don't have is clarity. Because somewhere along the way, hemp became a loophole, a marketing trick, a label slapped on psychoactive gummies and Delta-8 vapes, THC drinks that get you just as high as marijuana, but they aren't regulated like it. That's not Jack's fault, but he played pretty fast and loose with his nomenclature. At various times throughout The Emperor Wears No Clothes, the term hemp, cannabis, marijuana are used almost interchangeably. But then at other times, he's clearly using the word hemp to indicate the historical, industrial commodity crop. And I think if he were here today, may he rest in peace, looking at the way hemp has been twisted into a Trojan horse for unregulated THC, perhaps he would say, no, that's not what I meant. But obviously I have no way of knowing that. So, yeah, I took Jeremy's advice. I went back and I reread The Emperor Wears No Clothes. And it didn't solve my problem. So I went back farther. Now, a month ago, I got a package in the mail from John Dvorak. He's a hemp historian up in New England. He sent me a copy of the 1913 USDA yearbook, which I had heard of before, but I'd never actually laid eyes on. Oh boy, what a goldmine. The 1913 USDA report provides a detailed botanical, agricultural, historical, and industrial account of hemp, focusing on its fiber-producing uses. It distinguishes between fiber hemp and drug-type cannabis, but treats the narcotic use as a secondary concern. When the author of this report, Lister H. Dewey, describes cannabis sativa L, grown for bass fiber and seed oil, he calls it hemp. And when he talks about the narcotic uses of the same species, he makes it clear that's not hemp. That's bhang or charish or ganja, he says. Dewey documents how these drug types emerged later, centuries after the plant was first cultivated for fiber in China. He points out that these narcotic uses were known in India and Persia, not in the cultures where hemp had been grown for rope and cloth. You can read this report yourself. It's available online, and I'll put a link to it on the show page. So from there, I pulled up the 1938 Popular Mechanics article, The New Billion-Dollar Crop. It celebrates hemp as a miraculous industrial resource. It talks about cellulose, dynamite, fine linens, paper, rope. It mentions marijuana, but only as a regulatory concern. The flower, the narcotic, was seen as a side issue. The article insists that hemp, as a crop, shouldn't be held back by what they call wild hemp or loco weed. In both of these foundational texts, the USDA Yearbook and Popular Mechanics, we see the same pattern. Hemp is hemp, flower is something else. And that something else had other names: ganja, bang, kif, takrosi, dakin, charas, and later marijuana. This distinction matters because if we don't hold that line, if we allow hemp to mean anything and everything, then it loses meaning altogether. And so do the farmers growing it, and so does the market trying to stand itself up. We owe it to the people building the industry, the ones growing for fiber, harvesting the straw and the grain, retting, decorticating, pressing, weaving, breaking their backs to protect the integrity of this word. Because if everything is hemp, then nothing is hemp. And I, for one, still believe in the power of this plant to feed us, to clothe us, to house us, and to help heal us and our land. Because the plant contains multitudes, right? And hemp is a subset of that. A square is a rectangle, but a rectangle is not a square. Hemp means hemp, and we have to hold that line. But of course, this conversation will continue. I've reached out to a professor of linguistics and the history of the English language at Oxford University. So look for that conversation on a future show. But for now, I have to get out of here. They're kicking me out of the studio. My name is Eric Herlock. I'm the senior digital editor at Lancaster Farming Newspaper, the greatest agricultural newspaper in the world. Check us out online at lancasterfarming.com, where you can also get a subscription to our print edition, sign up for our newsletters, and right now you can nominate your favorite farm. So anyway, check us out. Our coverage of agriculture and country life will absolutely astound you, the depth of our coverage. Yeah, check us out. It's really that good. Anyway, if you have questions for me about anything you heard on today's show, reach out to me. You can send an email. Send it to podcast@lancasterfarming.com. And until next time, I'll see you in the newspaper. The Hemp Show is copyright 2025 by Lancaster Farming Newspaper, part of the Steinman Communications family. Today's show was written by Eric Herlock and recorded, edited, and produced by Eric Herlock and Justin Berger.